beard, a little beard, just in the sense that I'm not too confident. It's hedging the bet on the mustache.
Love
I'm
it.
no Paul Skeens.
No, you're not.
I'm
Drink
no
a little tea with some honey. It warms up the vocals for these morning pods. And you know why I need the vocals warm? Oh, you'll always be home, sweet home to me. Good old Rocky Top, Tennessee. For you watching this, you can see that I'm wearing a clean, crisp, dapper fire Tennessee Vols hat. If you're listening to the audio podcast, just know the hat is nice, and I won it in a bet against Big Bet.
It's a solid bet. I say we continue to do that. It grows the hat. I mean, I got a compliment the other day on my hat game. There's a guy I work with at work. He's like, your hats are amazing. Great hat. But I need to continue that progress towards continual good hat game. Question for you.
Let's hear it.
The Vols mascot.
Yeah.
What type of dog is it?
It's like...
Is it a basset hound?
Yes. I was going to say long ears, big, like droopy nose. It's a basset hound.
The Vols are interesting.
I know.
The Vols are interesting. Congrats, College World Series champions.
Thank you. And congrats to everyone out there. We're entering the second half of the Major League Baseball season. So thank you for joining this MLB edition of Big Ben and K-Win on NoFilter.net, Caffeine TV, and YouTube. That's where you should be watching us, live or on demand. It's all about video. But if you do like that podcast, that audio version in your car or at the gym, we're everywhere you can get your podcast. Download, listen, and subscribe. I'm K-Win. He's Big Ben. Today, we're going to talk about Major League Baseball, the All-Star Game, Home Run Derby, second half contenders and pretenders, who's the best MLB player under 25, and more. And he can't wait for the second half.
I can't wait a little more. I do want to talk Home Run Derby.
Let's hear it.
I do. The format's pretty good.
It's great.
I think they have it right. Like, there's pressure. Like Teoscar had, there's pressure mounting up. It's a proverbial one-run game, right?
Yeah.
And I went down to the end, and Teoscar Hernandez, former Mariner last year, comments of, I didn't feel right in the batter's box. And I don't think anyone feels right in the batter's box at T-Mobile because no one can hit there. But Teoscar had signed a 1-year deal. And I like to think
he's about to get paid.
What that did for him, right? Like, it had to do something for him. People take notice, even though it's not attributed to maybe the game 1-to-1. But still, yeah, he's going to get paid. $23 million deal. He'll get a 4-year, 5-year deal coming out of this. He's got it, right?
He's got to.
So Teoscar wins it.
By one. I was watching the Home Run Derby. I'll compare it to the NBA dunk contest, right? It's the marquee event of the weekend. But right now with the dunk contest going down, I feel like the Home Run Derby's better. And it was great. And everyone was trying to pull the ball because in Arlington, in center, it's like 410 or 400. That's a long way to hit a home run. And Bobby Witt's last homer was going that way. And I'm like, if he just would have got inside a little bit more of a tight ball game. But if you were the commissioner, you couldn't have asked for anything else. The round before, Bond and Teoscar went to a swing off. And then they had their young player who could be the face of Major League Baseball soon in the finals. Great Home Run Derby. All-Star Game, I didn't even watch it. Some guy in the Red Sox won MVP with a home run. That's all I got.
Yeah, the only thing I took away from the All-Star Game is, listen, this is the era of watching the radar gun and how fast these guys are throwing the ball, and then exit velocity. Like, those are the two things it seems Major League pundits now care about. Those didn't exist. Well, the radar gun existed, but no one cared about that, say, 20 years ago.
No.
The game has changed. And I think we'll discuss who's the best player in the under 25.
Yes. So listen to this. There were 32 first-time MLB All-Stars.
That's a lot.
And I think there were 19 players under the age of 27. Like, the game is in good hands. The young stars are coming. And I'm excited to talk about a couple of them here. So we want to talk about the best Major League Baseball player under 25. I think it comes down to Julio Rodriguez on the Mariners, Gunnar Henderson on my Orioles, and Bobby Witt Jr. on your Royals. What are your thoughts?
So 2 out of 3 of those were at the game, the All-Star game. So that kind of separates them, right? That I don't know if Julio is fully. I don't think he's matured at the plate enough. And Gunnar is just a freak athlete, in my opinion. He's a great athlete, and that's exhibited on the field every day. And he's got a great lineup around him. I think he benefits from that more so. And if you look at the other two, they don't have the bats around them that they do. And some could say Vinny pass squatch, if you would, with the Royals, and Salvador Perez do things to protect Bobby, and even less so with Julio. Julio's got Cal Raleigh maybe protecting him. But here's why I believe Bobby Witt is the best player under 25. Here's what he's got going for him. His father used to play.
Yeah.
He knows, he can tell Bobby, here's what you got to do to be a great ball player. So he's probably got his routines. He understands day in, day out what to do. Every game matters, right? He shows up. He's professional. And that hair, that's the last one. The flowing mullet locks. Like the guy looks like...
just like his dad.
Exactly. He's going to go up and do some damage. Bobby Witt Jr. will not be the face of Major League Baseball simply due to the fact he plays in Kansas City.
Yeah.
That said, I think he will be the best player in baseball, call it stats-wise, moving forward for the next decade.
Love it. So you got Bobby Witt Jr., 23, Gunnar Henderson, 22. And I want to talk a little bit about both of them before I give you my pick. So everyone talks about launch angle. But I'm going to say it's more than launch angle. I would actually put that down on my list when I describe like what a generational Hall of Fame hitter needs. It needs to be a short, compact swing, velocity through the zone, and barrel accuracy. And both of these guys have it. Like, let's go back and forth on the numbers. Average, Witt, 323. Henderson, 286. Home runs, Henderson has the advantage, 28-16. OPS, .927 for Witt. .957 Henderson. WAR. Everyone loves WAR. Gunnar Henderson is second. Ohtani's ahead of him, I think. I don't know. Don't at me. But you've got 6.2 for Henderson, 5.4 for Witt. They both have the bat speed. I did some stat analysis. Like Giancarlo Stanton, 80 miles an hour is his bat speed. Like he's just a big dude. But he's got a longer swing. Bobby Witt and Gunnar are like 75, short, compact swing. They're great. Their stats are comparable. Hit home runs, hit for average. But I give Witt a slight advantage for what he can do defensively and the fact that he can steal more bases. Overall, I give a slight edge to Bobby Witt Jr. Both are great, though.
Yeah. And the difference between, like, they're playing the same position, right? So it's easy to cast a mirrors and look in the mirror for each of them and say, compare stats as you did, right? And I think for the most part, yeah, Bobby's doing more for his team, translating to more wins than, say, Gunnar. Like, you take Bobby Witt away from the Royals, probably below 500 team.
Yeah.
And you take Gunnar away from the Orioles, probably
they're not leading the AL East, but they're probably still close to it.
Exactly. Bobby Witt needs more of the Orioles. Does that mean he's a better player necessarily? Who knows? If you did a swap, now swap those two. That'd be interesting.
It would be interesting.
See what Gunnar did on the Royals, because it's all relative, right? And I agree with you. Going back to your comment about Major League Baseball is in good hands. It's in good hands. Like, we got good players. And it's not – I think we went through a period where it's just geared up and hit home runs.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that was the measure. Now we're getting back into OPS. Like, what are guys doing holistically at the plate? And, yeah, I think, like, Bobby Witt's going to be a person people go to the ballpark to watch, even if you're not rooting for him.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to be kids want to go watch him and so forth. I'm encouraged by the Royals. I like Pasquatch a lot at first base. He's my kind of guy. So
yeah. Well, Witt hits second in the order. Henderson hits first. I think as they get older and mature, both of them are like prototypical number 3 hitters. And going back to their short swing, like it's like 7 feet. And why it's so important is if you have a long swing, it's easier to find holes in that swing if you're a pitcher, and you're more inclined to go into more slumps. Like if you're short inside and you get the fastball, you can stay late and hit the off speed. I love their swings. I love what they're doing. And what you said is they do more than just hit. They hit for average. They hit doubles. Bobby Witt, I think last year led the league in triples. They steal bags. They play defense. It's not about just strikeout and home runs. They do so much for the game and for their team. It's so close, but slight edge to Bobby Witt Jr.
And I have to, just to round out this segment. So Julio, I'm thinking about this. If you put Julio on the Royals or the Orioles, who would he look like? Right? Because he plays a different position. He's a great center fielder. Don't get me wrong. But he plays in a ballpark that simply, you ask anyone else in the Major League Baseball, Teoscar, I couldn't hit there. I couldn't get comfortable. I think it's a combination of that, but also Julio, his play discipline, he knows the Mariners go as Julio goes, and that's a lot of pressure. Where I think, you talk to probably Witt, he'd say, no, I can get picked up on any given day by Salvador and Vinny. Same with Gunnar Henderson. He's got players around him that can pick up on the hitting. So there's more pressure on Julio to do more versus Witt and Gunnar Henderson. Now, if that changes at the trade deadline, you could find out who Julio really is.
Yeah.
And Julio can get hot. He got hot last year. I think improved his average by like 70 points in a month. So
August, summer heats up, and so does Julio. Can he do it again? He's going to need to do it.
Absolutely. I mean, the Mariners. I'm on a text thread with a lot of kind of Mariners fans.
I'm not on there.
Yeah, you're not quite there yet. Maybe if we get a playoff run, I'll add you. The thing I thought about is the Mariners are who I thought they were. Right? We're coming back to Earth here a little bit, and then the same could be said for the Astros as we transition to probably talk about the trade deadline teams, buyers, sellers. But the Astros are who I thought they were, which is a pretty darn good team with a really good lineup.
Well, let's get right into it. So let's go through second half pretenders and contenders. Before we get into it, the Mariners have a 1-game lead. What'd you say last week? They had a 10-game lead.
They had
about a month ago.
The Mariners effectively, buyers, sellers, they got to be buyers. They got to get a bat, right? And as Julio goes, the Mariners go. And
just because they're a buyer doesn't mean they're a contender.
Right, exactly. Like it's something. I think something's going to happen simply to appease the fan base, right? Because there's this idea that we need a bat, we need a big bat. Something's going to take place where the fan base gets their appetite met for a contender, and we need to make a move. That said, I don't think it's going to make all the difference. It's like, unfortunately, the Astros are going to have to stumble for us to win the division.
Yeah.
Some way, somehow. And I think you're playing for a wild card right now. Like, you got to take care of business against the Angels and A's. I'm talking 800 ball against the Angels and A's. I'm dead serious, or else you're not going to be in the playoffs. That's how I see the rest of the season playing out. Because we've seen these guys that they acquired in the offseason not flip, not play to their potential. And that doesn't happen overnight, right? I think what we're seeing is over the course of the last, 90 games, 85, whatever it is, you just can't hit in T-Mobile. It's a fact. So you can't rely on some guys to turn it around because they've played 90 games there, and it's a fact that they can't hit there. So you got to take care of the lesser opponents throughout the course of the remainder of the season.
You might not be able to relate to this now because you have a nice flowing beard. But when you cut yourself shaving and you just can't stop the bleeding? I feel like that is the Mariners. Like, they just can't stop the bleeding, and it's a matter of time before the Astros catch them and win the division. I said a couple months ago I wanted the Mariners. I thought the Mariners, but I don't think they have enough offense to do it. Like, there's a stat that the Mariners have only had a 4-0 lead going into the third inning, I think like 7 times this year. So like 7 times out of 80-ish games so far is not enough offense. And it's not going to be enough offense, I think, in the end to win the division. But I do believe with that pitching, they're going to be right in the wild card hunt. and they can get in. So I will say they are a pretender to win the AL West, but a contender in the wild card.
Yeah. And the thing about a strong pitching team, you know this as well, having played baseball, right? Anytime you see a pitcher the second time around, you have a better idea of what they're going to throw,
Yeah.
where they think they got you. And, nothing's a surprise because you've obviously been prepared. You've had some plate appearances against them. That's what's going to happen in the M's. Like the pitching can't continue at this trajectory, right? It can't be as good as it has been. It's been some of the best in baseball just due to the fact that now you're going against guys again, second time around, third time around, fourth, whatever it may be. So the pitching's going to level off a bit, right? Or ERA is going to go up, whatever you want to say. And that's generally when we see more offense in the second half of the season due to that. So for any team that's relying heavily on pitching like the Mariners, it's just not going to work out. You're not
Hitters go through slumps, so do pitchers.
Exactly. And if you don't have the bats to make up for the probably increase in runs that you're going to allow, just due to the fact that those facts that I just mentioned, Mariners are going to be in a tough position. Who are some other teams we're watching?
Let's stay in the AL, Kansas City Royals. Pretender or contender?
Tougher division. This is the thing the Mariners have going for them. The A's and Angels are garbage.
Rangers are too streaky this year.
Yeah. I mean, the Rangers haven't been healthy. And so the Royals play in a much tougher division. Like there's not a soft real game except for probably the White Sox are soft. Let's just say that. But I think the Royals, just with Witt, I don't know if they can get it done top to bottom. There's better lineups, I think, in the AL Central.
Yeah.
But they're more of a contender in my opinion. If you put the Royals in the AL West, like
they win the division.
Probably. Yeah, there'd be a larger lead for sure than the Mariners were able to capitalize on. So I like what you said. Maybe pretender for the division title just because it's too tough, but definite contender for wild card.
Yeah. They got Witt. They got Salvi Perez. They got the guy at first. I don't know his name. And they have great pitching. So I'm going to say contender for the wild card. I like the Royals. The AL East is probably the best division, but AL Central is close, and the AL West is not very good. It might be the worst division in baseball right now.
No. Do you want to talk NL West?
Let's talk NL West. D-backs, contenders or pretenders?
Where do the D-backs sit as of today? I think they're what? Okay, 1 game over 500, 7 games back of the Dodgers, and then you look at the wild card. They are
they're right there with the Padres.
One game back, with the Pods. Listen, the same narrative could be said for I think for the Diamondbacks as you look at the Mariners. As Corbin Carroll goes, the Mariners go, right? And I don't know, when you look at the Diamondbacks, they made the World Series last year. So Christian Walker's having a heck of a year, and then Ketel Marte has been one of the better players in baseball.
My favorite vodka and my favorite second baseman.
Exactly. They got the bats. Like Corbin Carroll's the difference. If he turns it around, that West, that division's tough too. Because you got the Giants, you got the Dodgers, you got the Padres.
Corbin Carroll, I think he's hitting low 200s now with 10-ish home runs. Last year, he was like 280, 290, 30-plus home runs. He struggled. He's got to get it together. But Walker's a stud. Last year, they had Tommy Pham, a veteran, a great bat. Now they have Jock Peterson. I like the Snakes. They're one of the hottest teams in baseball over the last 30 days. I'm going to say the Snakes are contenders. They have the experience. They know they can win. They know they can win in the playoffs. It's a similar core. Give me the Snakes. Contenders.
Contenders for the Snakes. Is Mookie still injured? Mookie's injured, right?
He is. He's supposed to be back the end of this month.
So you got to, if you're the Diamondbacks, you got to make up ground this month. August is a big month for you. What about your Giants?
I went back and forth on this. I want to leave them off the list because I didn't want to be honest about the Giants. But I'm going to be honest with the Giants here. Short term, they are contenders. They've got 3 games against the Rockies, 4 against the Dodgers, 4 more against the Rockies, 2 against the A's this month. So that's what, I don't know, 13-ish games. I think they could win 7 or 8. So they will be contenders this month. And then next month, when Mookie comes back, Corbin Carroll starts hitting, the Pods have Tatis and Bogart and all those bats. I think the division's too tough. The Giants are the Mariners of the NL West, but they play, or the AL West, but they play in the NL West.
Right.
And the cream rises to the top. And I just think the Padres, the Diamondbacks, and the Dodgers have better all-around bats. The Giants have the pitching, but they're like the Mariners. They don't have enough around them.
Yes. It'll be interesting. When's the trade deadline?
End of this month, 31st.
End of this, yeah. So this month's going to be telling, or excuse me, July, right? It's going to be telling about. I think teams look and forecast. They're not, they understand. There's, you and I know this. Data doesn't lie.
Yeah.
Like you can look at, okay, what's our outlying schedule? What do we look like we're going? If we add this guy, what does it look like then? Right? It's a shell game. I'm going to add this guy, figuratively, what's his WAR? What does that get us? How many runs per game? And then you can almost come to some sort of it's an algorithm, more or less. And the Giants probably have, in terms of analytics, probably one of the best departments in baseball. So I think you're going to see a lot of, allegedly, yeah. Astros might have a better one. So I think you'll, see a lot of teams make decisions around, strategic decisions, right? They're not going to take on a boatload of salary or whatever it may be, but where they can capture a few runs, because the wild card's going to be the expanded spot. It's going to come down to 1 to 2 games.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
and it usually comes down to like what you do against your division, because you play more in the second half against them. So it'll be interesting.
That's the tough part for the Giants. Anyone in the NL West, that's a good division. Yeah, that's why the Mariners have a puncher's chance. Is that the Angels and A's, and who knows what those 2 organizations do at the break, right? We know they're sellers in any respect. Trout's not coming back for a little bit. The Angels really have nothing to play for. Same could be said for the A's, right? So if anyone's a pretender that is a contender solely due to their division, it's the Seattle Mariners.
Let us know your thoughts. Drop your comments below if you're watching this video, or just email us. Should we wrap this bad boy up?
Let's get out of here.
Big Ben and K-Win each week. NoFilter.net, Caffeine TV, YouTube. Watch us live. Watch us on demand. Watch us anytime. More of an audio podcast person. Download, listen, and subscribe. And 5-star us at Big Ben K-Win on social media. At Big Ben K-Win on social media. Drop your comments below. Tune in each week. Go Vols. SEC football's kicking off. NFL's coming up.
We're weathering the storm right now.
You going to Egypt with Aaron Rodgers for a second trip?
Oh, my. Him and Devontae Adams. He's going to close on a sign and trade deal for who knows who they'd send to the Raiders.
I want the Jets to be talked about in the media for winning. I don't want them to be talked about for all this extracurricular activity.
Well, Sila's not the
guy.
How
are you going to plan a trip to Egypt, approved or not approved, when there's mini camp and you didn't play last year and don't have chemistry with your receivers?
Well, isn't Sila younger than Rodgers? Like, it's
they should have the mini camp in Egypt. Boom.
Boom.